like obviously, well, no, maybe not obviously. If Yang doesn't get the nomination, I
Yeah.
presume you'd be supportive of whatever the DNC spits out. Ooh, maybe not.
Okay. No, it's interesting. I know I'm gonna get so much hate for this, but it depends. If it's Sanders, if it's even Warren, if it's Warren or Sanders,
Mm-hmm.
then yes, I will hands down vote for them.
You didn't say
But
Harris.
okay, because I'm not gonna name any of the other people, but just saying, if it's Bernie, 100% will. Okay, even though I disagree with a lot of his policies, but here's the thing: it's like I would just be so disappointed in the American people for having a candidate who was presenting the clearest solutions that we absolutely need, that are essential for right now, and not and being so blind to it. I almost feel like a second Trump presidency would wake people the heck up. Okay, like, do you know what I mean? They'd be like, "Wait, how could we go wrong again?" Um,
Mm.
and people will have to like there. It would just make absolutely the immediacy of having to restructure everything, rethink everything that we've been doing thus far. I think it would let someone who's actually going to be effective really change things up. I know that seems like a flawed sort of theory, but it's something that I am trying to like grapple with myself as to like what would actually be the best for the country, actually, in the short term and long
So you
term.
think a second Trump term would be a wake-up call?
That is how I am seeing it from like a very top line perspective. Would I like living in a second Trump presidency as like, myself? No, right? He validates a lot of ideas and actions and crap that is just not okay. But we need structural change, and I don't know if I see any of the other politicians really doing any of that effectively. That's my issue. So it's just I just don't know is my thing. I'm not sure yet.
Well, you'll be happy to know that a lot of people agree with you on the chat right now.
Oh, they do. Oh, well,
Yeah, they
thanks,
do.
guys.
So
Thanks for.
they're not going crazy. They might
Okay.
they
All
might
right.
they might not be happy with what I will say.
Oh, okay.
Which
No, no, no. I mean, here's the thing. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. So I'm like, I don't know. So go ahead.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on this?
So my opinion is that this president is such a clear and present danger to this country and the world that there literally could not be a worse alternative that comes out of the Democratic candidates. Yes, many of them have flaws. Many of them are way inferior to the a Yang presidency for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
But if you said, "Oh, do you want another 4 years of Trump or blank?" I'm going to take blank because
Yeah.
number one, we know what the first 4 years were like, and they kind of have been pretty, in my opinion, terrible. And number two, I'm also not sure that his mental faculties will be better in another
Mm-hmm.
4 years than they are
Mm-hmm.
today.
Okay, that's a good
And
point.
and I feel like the world is not getting more stable; it's getting less stable, and it
Mhm.
requires a strong, level-headed leader in the Oval Office, not just for the country, but for the international community.
Mhm. Yes,
So yeah,
actually,
I'm
that's
kind
yeah,
of a I'm kind
yeah.
of a like anybody but person, and but hopefully
Yeah.
we won't have to do that. Maybe wouldn't it be great if it were the Yang presidency? Oh my God. Can you
Yes. Well,
imagine the first press
yes.
conference and he's just like normal and logical and
But
speaking
but
reasonably?
that's what I do know, right? Is that I just want Yang to be president. That's what I do know. So I don't so going off into these other like hypotheticals just yet, I just haven't completely made up my mind. I just feel very, very, and I think it's because we feel so passionately that he's the right person for the job that it's hard to accept an alternative, you know? And we get so frustrated that he's not being given a fair chance to even make his case to the American people, that there's this, and here's the thing, I'm not saying this is a good quality of mine. It's not a good quality of mine. Maybe there's this little bit of this like vindictive part of me that's like, well, then we deserve it. Or, you know, it's awful. It's awful. I'm raising my hand up. I'm saying it's awful, but just saying I'm just being real. I'm keeping it real.
I hear you. I hear you. And I've heard there is that phrase like the country will get the president it deserves. But let me kind of share a slightly different perspective on that one, which is I believe the country is often misinformed by its information sources, and half the country, like, you know, Fox News is the number one source of news for most Americans in terms of readership, you know, viewership.
Oh, and I didn't actually know that.
Yeah. So if most people statistically are consuming news from like Fox and Friends and Hannity, then it's not crazy that they're going to vote for Trump, because they're being kind of steered in that direction.
Right.
And if they knew all of the facts, and then people will say, well, that they deserve to be misinformed if they're not going to go out of their way to consume other information. But I don't know, man. I think we got to acknowledge that the whole way people get information today is a little bit, I mean, a lot biased. I mean, even within the Democratic Party, we probably, I know both of us have talked about the media bias against Yang within the progressive media.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then you've got the whole, in the general, like half of the country is going to be getting their news from Hannity and freaking Fox and Friends, and they're going to say all kinds of weird shit about the Democratic nominee. So because of that, I kind of feel like, oh God, like we have to all show up and do everything we can. And then if Trump gets reelected, I will sleep better at night knowing like, well, what else could I have done? I gave money, I created content, I got all my friends fired up. And but it's a little bit scary. Hopefully we won't be in that situation.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why, that's why we're doing what we're doing, right?
Yeah, indeed.
So that to try and ensure that we don't get into that situation. So, yeah,